Now, elsewhere today, Donald Trump marked the end of the first day of a landmark trial against him in New York by telling reporters it is a scam. Mr. Trump was speaking after becoming the first ever US president to face criminal charges in court. Well, he denies trying to disguise a hush money payment to an adult film star in 2016.
It looks like the judges are going to allow me to escape this scam. It's a scam trial. If you read all of the legal pundits, all of the legal scholars today, there's not one that I see that said this is a case that should be brought or tried. It's a scam. It's a political witch hunt.
So that's Donald Trump there speaking outside court. Our North America editor Sarah Smith reports now on what was a dramatic day of events.
It's become a well-rehearsed ritual, Donald Trump's performance on his way to court. But this time it's very different. The first criminal trial of a former president, and it comes with a possible prison sentence. Just look at his face. He seems drained of all his usual bombast, while insisting he's the victim of a conspiracy to derail his presidential campaign.
This is political persecution. This is a persecution like never before. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And again, it's a case that should have never been brought. It's an assault on America. And that's why I'm very proud to be here.
Loyal Trump supporters and many ordinary voters do believe he is being unfairly targeted.
They're weaponizing the criminal justice system against their political enemies, and it's not right.
I will fight for this man till the day I die. And if they put him in jail, there are going to be millions of Americans like me that are going to grab our guns and have a civil war.
Trump opponents were also demonstrating outside the court.
He's been a lifelong grifter and should have never gotten to the point where he could even be president of the United States, because he should have been arrested and in jail long ago for all the people he's ripped off over the years.
When the porn star Stormy Daniels claimed they'd had an affair, he paid her $130,000 hush money just before the 2016 election. He's now accused of illegally falsifying business records to hide that payment. TV cameras are not allowed inside. Sketches show some of the action as lawyers clashed over what evidence could be used in the trial. Photos from the start of the proceedings show Mr. Trump looking sombre and very tired, fidgeting a lot in his seat at times. He also appeared to nod off at one point, mouth slack, head drooping. He scrutinised the list of questions asked of hundreds of potential jurors to ascertain their neutrality, including where they get their news and if they've ever been to a Trump rally. Over 60 have already admitted they cannot be fair and impartial about Donald Trump. Finding 12 people both sides believe will be even-handed could take weeks. Obviously, he prefers the campaign trail, but now has to fit that around his court dates, bringing the trial centre stage as he attacked the judge at a rally in Pennsylvania just 2 days ago.
This has never happened before, by the way. You do know that, right? Fully gagged before a highly conflicted and corrupt judge who suffers from TDS. Does anyone know what TDS is? Correct. Trump derangement syndrome.
This case could last for months, with Donald Trump required to be here almost every day.
There's Sarah Smith there with the events of day one. Let's talk now to our North America correspondent John Sudworth, who's in New York. And John, we got a sense of what day one looked like. What are we expecting today on day two?
Well, I'm standing in the press pen here, Ben, just opposite the court. It's clearly pretty empty at the moment. Just a few European broadcasters left doing the early morning rounds, but it will fill up again tomorrow because this is such a crucial part of the trial, the selection of the members of the jury, as you heard in Sarah's report there. You know, it is a very difficult task. They have around 300 potential candidates to sit on this jury, and over the next few days and weeks they will be whittled down person by person as the court looks for people who do not hold strong preconceptions about the former president, which, when you think about it, he's a man who wielded such influence over US politics and society for the best part of 10 years or more now, makes this no easy task at all.
Yes, and we will keep a close eye on how that goes. John, for now, thank you. John Sudworth live in New York for us. Let's talk about the implications of trying to find those jurors. Laurie Levinson is a former federal prosecutor and professor of law at Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles. Thank you, Laurie, for being with us. And let me put that very question to you. What day one has proved is just how difficult it could be to find these impartial jurors. The scale of the challenge ahead for the court right now is just to find those jurors, isn't it?
Well, that's right. And the court knew it would be a challenging task. It's bringing in hundreds of prospective jurors. And it's encouraging the jurors actually to be honest, even if it means it'll take longer to pick a jury. Because in the end, the judge really does want a jury who's going to decide it on the evidence and not the polls.
Yes, and explain to us, if you will, how this works. What is it that the judge will be questioning those potential jurors on, and what will he be looking for in this case?
Well, the first stage is we're asking jurors whether they could serve during the length of this case, which, as you mentioned, could be at least a couple months. But beyond that, they have a questionnaire. And the questionnaire has a series of questions about what people know about Donald Trump, whether they go to their rallies, whether they read his books, whether family members are strong supporters. And so they have to get through all the questionnaires. And after that, they've got follow-up. And in our system, each side gets a certain number of jurors they can kick off for any reason. So it's an extensive process.
We know that the Trump campaign have been very keen to delay all of these trials and push them further down the line. They want to hopefully wait until after the presidential election. Is there any risk here that this jury selection will take so long it pushes it even closer or beyond the presidential election?
Oh, I don't think that this particular one, will go beyond the election. On the other hand, there are 3 other trials waiting in the wings, and those might not get started before the election. We still have the Supreme Court to decide on whether there's immunity. We have the Mar-a-Lago case on deciding whether these were presidential documents. And then everything in Georgia took sort of a turn when there were accusations against the prosecutor. So this is the case. The New York is the case that I think is most likely to get resolved before the election.
And so on this specific case, talk to me about the challenge ahead for the judge, what they are hoping to prove here, certainly the prosecution. What are they hoping to prove? And what are the potential penalties or implications of this case?
Well, the penalties, this is what we call sort of a low felony. It could be up to 4 years on each count, but there are 34 counts against Donald Trump. And what they have to prove is that he falsified or had people falsify for him his business records, and that he did so in order to conceal other crimes that he was involved in, namely some campaign fraud. The whole theory here is that he was paying hush money to a porn star because he didn't want that information to get out right before the election and affect his campaign. So that's the overall case being brought against Donald Trump.
How high are the stakes here? We heard from Mr. Trump there speaking outside court, and we often say, don't we, every time he appears in court, his funding goes up and his supporters use this as a rallying call. But there are serious implications here. Could this damage Mr. Trump's chances of that presidency?
Oh, I think that they can, and I think that's why he's making such a fuss about it outside the courtroom, even though he's not allowed to inside the courtroom. He exhibits a lot of bravado, but the bottom line is if he is convicted on these counts, it will cost him dearly, particularly with independent voters. He has his core base. They don't care. But this election is going to be close and will depend on the independent voters, and they have expressed real concern if there's a conviction.
Laurie Levinson, it's good to have you with us on the programme this morning. Thank you for joining us there live from Los Angeles. Thank you.